Do you need to build a new employee onboarding process, but your managers want onboarding plans that are as relevant and customized to the employee as possible? What if I told you there's a way to build customized plans, but create a scalable solution where you manage as few employee onboarding plans as possible? Here's what I'm not suggesting. I'm not suggesting that you create customized plans for different job families or different job roles. That would create too much work for you to manage long term, making updates a nightmare. Trying to measure onboarding effectiveness of all of those plans would be near impossible. But what I am talking about is creating a process where you, as the people ops or HR professional, manage a template structure where managers create small updates to details within that structure. This allows managers to have some specificity for their employee, but because the structure of the onboarding plan is consistent, it allows you to effectively measure what's working versus what's not over time. Ultimately, we are going to empower managers to add customization to their plans for their own new employees. They will learn what content needs to be included in the specific onboarding plan for the person on their team based from their roles and their tasks, etc. However, you as the central owner of the onboarding plans process should dictate the parameters of each onboarding plan, including the recommended length of time, the baseline set of tasks or activities, and suggested opportunities for new employee connection. That being said, there are distinct differences in different types of employees where you may want a separate onboarding plan structure. Here are 6 examples of distinct types of employees where a different onboarding plan may be the best option. First, a full-time employee, or often a corporate employee. A full-time employee is going to be the most standard and longest and most inclusive onboarding plan that you'll create. Second, temporary or contract employees, particularly at the corporate level. These plans may look very similar to full-time employees, especially if they're working a full 40-hour week. However, the big difference here is that temporary employees don't have all the benefits, 401k, medical, dental, or sometimes even access to some of the internal systems or cultural aspects. So those parts will be removed. Third, an intern or an apprentice is also going to look a little bit different because the time frame to work within the organization for them is truncated. The timeline of the onboarding plan should be condensed because interns don't usually need to know the full spectrum of particular processes or systems. They may only need to know a particular subset to get them through their ability to function within their role. Fourth, a transitioning employee is going to also look a little bit different because internally transitioning employees from one part of the organization to the other may need to learn functions for their particular job, but the culture component, the 401k, the medical, dental, or all the typical new hire kind of information, that can be removed from the onboarding plan because the transitioning employee is already acclimated and established in your organization. And then fifth, an employee that's new in career. So for example, folks coming out of university, their skill sets may need to be assessed prior to joining the organization. These employees may need to spend a little bit more time learning Outlook or Excel, for example, or other fundamental skill sets that we consistently use, but more tenured employees are already proficient. In that case, it may be worth spending a meeting or two to assess and determine if the new employees feel comfortable in those particular systems or if some follow-ups are needed. And then finally, any folks returning to the workforce. So it may be good to assess familiarity with some processes or applications or software that these employees will use. Some of these processes or applications may need to be reviewed at the beginning for proficiency or work with them and make some follow-ups as needed. But as we look at this list, there are only 6 different types of employees that we've called out here, which means that as the person managing the central process for your organization, you could ultimately create 6 different templates for these different types of employees, and then teach a manager which template to use based off of the type of employee that they are hiring for. How does your organization onboard employees? Do they rely on managers to onboard their own new employees? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget, if you're working for an organization or team where you need to implement a new onboarding process or program, or create a training program from scratch, click the subscribe button and follow along as we roll out more content on how to start and launch scalable employee programs.